This is the In the Money podcast for Friday at Belmont Park. Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting, Jim Goodman. And we're going to take a look at a couple of graded stakes on the Friday card. And also the last of the stakes races is the 2-mile Belmont Gold Cup. There are 3 other ungraded stakes earlier in the card as well. So it's a big day of racing. Jim, let's first start with a Grade 2 True North, 6 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up. You've got Catalina Red, who was so impressive on Derby Day, Always Sunshine, an impressive winner on Preakness Day, Private Zone, who's been a top sprinter for a couple of years. Where did you land here?
Yeah, it's a nice race for a 6-horse field. I landed on Private Zone, he hasn't been out since the Cigar Mile when he set the pace and faded and got beat by Tonalist. Ran behind Run Happy in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year, so I think Private Zone is the class of the race. Trainer change from Navarro to Brian Lynch. Not a real concern there. Brian Lynch is a great trainer. So I think Private Zone is the class of the race if he's ready. He's run well off layoffs before. So I'm just betting on class, but I'm not going to single him in any multiple late race wagers. Catalina Red is just too good. I mean, Catalina Red is coming off that win on Derby Day in the Churchill Downs and beat Calculator and Kobe Spack. Beat a really nice field of sprinters that day at 7 furlongs. Dropping back to 6 furlongs where he's 2 for 3. So Catalina Red obviously fits. Always Sunshine coming off the win in Pimlico on Preakness Day, and I think you had Always Sunshine that day. And the other horse that I like is Joking, the 2. Joking loves Belmont, 4 for 7, always in the exacta. And I think this sets up well for him as well. He may be a notch below these others in class, but Private Zone would be my top pick. Catalina Red would be my second pick. Those 2 I would almost play equally in multi-leg wagers, but Always Sunshine and Joking need to be considered as well.
I ended up taking a shot with Holy Boss, mainly because of the turn back to 6 furlongs. He's run 7 in both of his starts this year, and he's had 5 career wins, and 4 of them have come at 6 furlongs. You got Johnny V in the saddle, 3rd start off the layoff. I think he can maybe go right to the front from the rail and maybe hang on and upset these. Private Zone, Catalina Red, Always Sunshine. I'm going to use all of those with him, but key Holy Boss for my win wager and exacta key horse in the True North. And I think I'd want all 4 of those on a pick 4 ticket. The 9th race is the Grade 2 New York Stakes, and this is fillies and mares 4 and up on the turf at 1.25 miles. I took C. Khaleesi, very impressive. I think it was on Derby Day that she won a race in her U.S. debut at Belmont Park. She's had 3 works since then, so should improve, I would think, off that effort. And if she does, she's going to be pretty salty in here. I thought the 2 European shippers, I think those are always dangerous. They should get firm turf here. That's often what they're looking for when they come over from Europe. Havana Moon, the 4, the 6, Kalachi Queen, and then the 3 Trophy. I liked it a little bit as well, but I have a real good feeling about the 1 C. Khaleesi in the New York. How about you?
All right, with you. Chad Brown has 3 of these 7. I think that she may be the classiest one, not maybe in his barn, but she looked awfully good on the 7th of May at Belmont. Got a yielding turf course that day, and look at what she's been running against in France. Ran against Trev and was very competitive in all the races over there for $892,000 race at Ascot. Only got beat 6.5 in a huge field. So I think C. Khaleesi is a good bet here. I think Desita has a lot of back class for Chad. She ran behind Alorda at Gulfstream and then ran behind Tepin and Jenny Wiley. So I would stick with those 2 in the multi-leg wagers with a edge to C. Khaleesi, but Desita has a shot. So 1-2 in the multi-legs.
The 10th race, it's ungraded, probably will change before too long, but it's the Belmont Gold Cup. They go 2 miles, 4-year-olds and up on the turf course here. And you got a pretty well-matched group, I thought. Who did you land on?
Yeah, I wrote down, I was handicapping this. I was talking to my wife earlier, and I said, I have no idea who wants 2 miles. You don't have a clue. You're talking about handicapping the Derby, and nobody knows which horse wants 1.25 miles. So I just handicapped it like it's 1.5 miles. So I took the 5 horses that I thought had a real shot to win a 1.5 mile race, and hopefully one of them likes that extra half mile. The top choice I've got is the Big Hoss, Mike Maker has this horse really, really going well right now. Won at Sam Houston, came back and won the Elkhorn at Keeneland at 1.5 miles and beat a nice field that day, including Kigan. So the Big Hoss is my top pick. Kigan has beaten him a couple of times, so I'd also use Kigan, the 9 horse. Closing Bell, the 3 for Belmont, ran well in the Man of War, only got beat 2.5 at 1 mile and 3/8, so he should not mind the stretch out. The others that Up with the Birds, I think it's been disappointing for Graham Motion, but I keep thinking he's going to have a breakout race. He was also in the Man of War and didn't get beat that badly, but he didn't run that well in the Elkhorn. If he runs back to his Canadian International at Woodbine, he could be competitive here. So Up with the Birds is the 4 horse, and I would use him. And here's my long shot. I tried to pick a price in here of a horse that just is going to be probably 15 or 20 to 1. Maya Fleet has some early speed, and Edgar Prado, I really like him on the turf. He's riding better now. He seems to be rejuvenated in his career. And I think this horse is going to get overlooked in the wagering. He's not really got a lot of back class. He ran in the Elkhorn and got beat by 3 1/4 last spring, and he came back on a year layoff and ran okay at Laurel. I just think he might have enough speed to set a slow pace here and maybe be in it at the end. So I'll use those 5 horses. The Big Hoss would be my top choice here.
I ended up going to Kigan. Didn't have a strong opinion. That's the Big Hoss is the first one I wrote down, but I like the switch to Rosario on Kigan, who has had a tendency at times, I think, to hang, and Rosario is such a strong finisher that I like that. This horse got a lot of long races, marathon races under his belt. So, if anybody's going to get 2 miles, it ought to be a horse like that. The ones you mentioned, the ones I would use with him, I didn't use the Fleet horse, but Up with the Birds to Big Hoss, Closing Bell. If you want to go one more, I kind of thought the 13 Now We Can might be a little interesting. But I'm going to take Kigan mainly on the jock switch to Rosario, and I would certainly use the 3, 4, 5, 9, all of those in the late pick 4 ticket. Which we'll get to for Jim here in just a second. There are a couple of horses I did like in earlier stakes races. We didn't get too deeply into those, but in the 4th race, Is Everybody Happy? Proctor's not known as a 2-year-old first out trainer, certainly, and this horse was heavily bet first time out and won, and so that it intrigued me a little bit. And then in the 5th race, the Jersey Girl, I like Off the Tracks a lot. They switched this horse to Pletcher this year and was real heavily favored in her debut down at Gulfstream. Didn't run well. I think people got down on her. Turned out the horse that beat her was Go Maggie Go. So race doesn't look as bad now as it did that day. And if Karina takes most of the money, I think Off the Tracks could get her at a little bit of a price here. So I hope to get a little bit of a price. I hope the money goes to Karina and I get a little bit of a price on Off the Tracks in the Jersey Girl. Tell me about your late pick 4, Jim.
And what I think I'm going to do in the 8th race, the True North that we talked about, I'm going to use Private Zone to 3, but I'm also going to throw in Catalina Red. So I'm going to go 3, 5 there. In the 9th race in New York, I'm going to use C. Khaleesi, the 1, and Decita, the 2, for Chad Brown. In the 3rd leg, I'm going to use the horses that we talked about, the 3, 4, 5, 9, and 10. And then the 11th race is a maiden claimer, and there's a little bit of a sleeper in here that may not. I think when the PPs come out, if you look at later PPs, it's going to show that Great Skellig, the 3, ran behind a horse called Dream Doctor last out. Dream Doctor won on Sunday in allowance race, so came right back off a maiden win and won. So Great Skellig would be my choice in the last race, but I'd also use Frat Brat, the 2. I would use the 7 Street Fighting Man. I would use the 8 Move Forward and the 9 Rooftop View. So I would use 5 horses there. So it would be 3, 5 with 1, 2 with 3, 4, 5, 9, 10 with 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 for $50.
So there are 6 stakes races on the Friday card, 2 of them graded. On Saturday's card, there are 6 grade 1s and 10 stakes overall. And we're going to do a Saturday podcast focusing in on those 6 grade 1s for the Saturday card, culminating, of course, with the 3rd leg of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes, which has drawn a big field. So be some interesting races to handicap, and we will do that on our Saturday edition of the In the Money podcast here at KeenelandSelect.com.